Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Friday, April the 30th. Race number 11 at Churchill Downs. It's the Grade 1 Kentucky Oaks for 3-year-old fillies going 1 1/8 miles. Before we get to the analysis, head on over to DRF.com and get ready for Saturday's Kentucky Derby with your one-stop Derby shop. Derby packages include past performances, betting strategies, clocker reports, and lots more. Here's the field for the Kentucky Oaks. You can download free Formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Access them, handicap along with us. Mike, I think there's a lot of talent in this race, and it's a very competitive edition of the Oaks.
I agree. There is a lot of talent, and it just feels like, maybe the first 3 or 4 choices on the morning line, Dan, it just feels like they're really, really well matched.
Taking a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race, I do agree that the 7 Ava's Grace, the pace setter in the fantasy, is likely to make the lead. And I do agree that the 12 search results is going to be up close to the pace. I think the pace is going to be solid. Maybe it won't be blistering, but search results is likely going to be in a pretty decent situation when the real running starts.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope that they would, do some racing in here, Dan. This is a major, major Grade 1 race with a purse over $1 million. I hope that they're racing early.
Can the number 1 Pauline's Pearl take another step forward? She has yet to take a backward step on the Beyer speed figure scale in her career thus far, including this victory in the Grade 3 Fantasy last time out. Now, she was odds on against a weaker bunch. I think she's learning to finish off her races a little better, Mike. She got a much better trip in this race than she did in the Honeybee when she was on hold and behind a slow pace. She still has to work. She's still learning, but boy, is she well bred. And I think she might get the right setup for mid-pack while saving ground.
Yeah, I think she's improving from race to race too, Dan. I like this win from her, if only because, once again, I agree with your take on the Honeybee, where being down inside behind a slow pace probably cost her. But it's not like they were blazing in that race either that we just watched there. I mean, the pace was, fairly moderate. She was wide every step of the way. She still won that race fairly easily at the end. I can see her easily taking another step forward here.
Well bred to be sure by Tappet out of a Grade 1 winning half-sister to Kentucky Derby winner Always Dreaming. The 2 is Maracuja, 20-1, second in the Gazelle. And all things considered, that was a really breakthrough performance for this filly, stretching all the way out in her first race against winners. Kendra Carmouche was patient with her, kept her at the back of the pack, swung widest. She was up for second. Now, she has to prove that race isn't a fluke, but she belongs in this race off that effort.
Yeah, she ran fine in there. Didn't really have, a super strong finish in there, but she was second best to a good horse. And she is a filly, if nothing else, then she had the pedigree to improve stretching out. I would like to see some confirmation that she could really run another race like that last one, especially against a tougher field, but she's going to be a huge price in here.
Like the 1 Pauline's Pearl, the 3 Clairiere is a Stone Street homebred with a beautiful pedigree by Curlin out of the multiple Grade 1 stakes winner Cavorting. This filly, one of the top fillies in the country. You could argue that of the top contenders in this race, she might offer the best betting value at post time. Last time out in the Fairgrounds Oaks, I think she was stymied by a lack of pace. Travel Column, who has more tactical speed than she does, got the jump on her. Clairiere just couldn't overcome that advantage. She was able to overcome Travel Column 2-back when she got pace, and she should get some here.
Yeah, it could be a totally different setup again. And I feel like that's been the real difference in all their matchups, the 3 times they've run against each other. It's really all been about trip as they've traded decisions. Last time it was Clairiere who was just really badly compromised. They didn't go in front of her. Even as she tried to rally through the stretch, super sensational, was getting tired, drifting out in front of her. Clairiere had to jump to her wrong lead, still looked a little bit green. I mean, I even feel like we haven't seen the best of this filly yet, Dan. If she catches some pace in front of her here, I expect her to make her presence felt at the end.
And considering her pedigree, I think 1 1/8 miles is going to really benefit her while it might hurt some of the others. Crazy Beautiful, the number 4, is very, very consistent. She was Grade 1 placed last year, and she finally got back to the winner's circle last time out in the Gulfstream Park Oaks. Now, this was not the strongest edition of the Gulfstream Oaks. Let's watch Crazy Beautiful polish this race off from last. The favorite in the race, Cone Lima, is mostly a turf horse, and the Beyer speed figure for this race, the 83, the co-slowest Gulfstream Oaks ever recorded since Beyers were published in the form.
Yeah, I mean the 3-year-old filly stakes races down there at Gulfstream this winter, they just weren't strong races, Dan. I mean the Devona Dale for this filly 2 starts back was pretty much a disaster with a huge long shot wire in the field and nobody really doing anything behind her. To this filly's credit, Crazy Beautiful, she took a step forward last time and won that race very easily. But this is a much tougher spot.
I think the 5 Past the Champagne has a lot of talent. It's a question of whether this is a little too much too soon in only her 4th lifetime start. I liked her maiden win 2 starts back, going 7/8 of a mile. And I thought Javier Castellano rode her very well in the Ashland last time out. This filly showed off a strong burst of speed to dust the pace setter entering the stretch. And it took a very good horse in Malathot to run her down. She's got some agility.
Yeah, she ran really well last time. And it felt like if she was going to upset Malathot, it might have been right there, Dan, because I agree with you. She got a great trip. And I feel like Javier almost timed it perfectly to burst to the lead there off the turn, opened the clear stretch lead, and that was the short stretch at Keeneland. She just couldn't hold off a really, really good horse. Now she's got to go a little bit longer, and Malathot's not the only horse she has to worry about here. There are several others who might be just as good as that one. So it's a tough spot, but this filly's good.
Travel Column has won 2 of 3 from Clairiere, but boy, are they close in ability. In the Goldenrod at Churchill Downs last year, this filly overcame a lot of trouble. I mean, she was pinched back badly at the start. She was blocked turning into the stretch. She had to alter course sharply in upper stretch to the outside, and then she held off Clairiere, who was very wide in that race. She did a lot of dirty work in the Rachel Alexandra, and the fast pace might have paid the price late. And last time out, she just got the good trip and finished strongly. I'm a little concerned about the 1.125 in a very strongly run race if the pace is fast, because I know she's going to be close, but she's got a lot of ability.
I agree with that. It's pretty easy to tell when you watch those 3 matchups that there's not really much separating her and Clairiere at all. And in a lot of ways, there are 2 of the horses to beat in here. The question is, who's going to get the best trip this time? And to Travel Column's credit, she has shown that she doesn't need to be right up on the pace to run her best race. So, we'll see what kind of trip she works out in here, Dan. I guess the difference would be, again, they're very closely matched. And if this horse is going to be 3-1 and Clairiere is going to be a bigger price, I don't know why you wouldn't want the other one.
Excellent point. The 7 is Ava's Grace, the expected pace setter, according to Timeform US. We saw Pauline's Pearl forge by her in the fantasy. That was Ava's Grace's first start around 2 turns. She really improved. She also was able to get to an easy lead.
Yeah, I do feel like that probably worked to her advantage last time, and she still couldn't, get the job done over Pauline's Pearl. I mean, the pace, I don't want to say she walked, but she took no pressure at all on the early lead, and she still just couldn't hold on at the end. Now she's got to go farther against a much better field.
Moraz, the number 8, has the pedigree to succeed at 9 furlongs. She's by Empire Maker out of a full sister to the top stallion Malibu Moon. She's just disappointed on the trail thus far. They've tried her in 3 Oaks Preps races in Southern California, and she hasn't been able to seal the deal. And I just couldn't find the excuse in the 4-horse Santa Anita Oaks last time.
Yeah, I mean, her last 2 races are both 4-horse fields. And she ran okay in those races, I thought. I mean, Beautiful Gift, the horse that she was really vying with in those races. I don't know where she is, but she was a horse who probably would have fit pretty well in here, but didn't make the Kentucky Oaks. I don't know, Dan. I go back and watch her last race, the Santa Anita Oaks, and I just have to wonder, what her rider was doing in that race, because he certainly wasn't trying to win. I mean, the pace was super slow. And instead of just trying to, open up and win that race on the lead, he decided to take her way out into the middle of the track. He left the rail open for the horse that came up the inside to beat the 2 favorites in there. I mean, she just got a crazy bad ride last time. But even that being said, it doesn't make her good enough to beat this field.
Coach, the number 9, showed some ability as a 2-year-old. I thought she ran just fine when behind Travel Column and Clairiere, considering she made the first move into a solid pace. Now, perhaps she's underperformed a little bit at Oaklawn this winter. In looking at the fantasy, Mike, we've now seen 3 horses in the fantasy that improved their buyer speed figure considerably, kind of out of the ordinary. Does it make you question that figure a little bit?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Well, that could certainly be a possibility. My problem with Coach more than anything else, and I do think she's pretty good. I wonder how much farther she wants to go than the 1.16 she's been going. I mean, I watch her races. She doesn't really finish that strongly at 1.16. So I just feel like if she steps up in class again and has to stretch out farther, I just wonder if that's really going to work out for her. I do think she's pretty talented, though.
Morning line favorite, the number 10, Malathot, is just about everything going for us. 7-figure yearling purchase, a blue blood pedigree, Todd Pletcher and John Velasquez, a graded stakes race at 9 furlongs, that being in last year's Demoiselle, and a excellent prep, the grade 1 Ashland at Keeneland. Let's watch that race. It was the long-awaited 3-year-old debut for Malathot. You see past the Champagne, tried to take the race to her, and even when this short stretch of the mile and a 16th run, Malathot is going to gun her down.
Yeah, she ran really well in here. The runner-up runs a winning race, Dan, but Malathot's just too good for her. She had to go 4 wide on the turn just to stay within range, and then still gunned that horse down in the short stretch. Every one of her races so far is just really good. Even the Demoiselle last year, Dan, it felt like she was never in a comfortable position until the stretch, and she still came with a big run to get the job done. There's just a lot to like about her. This is a really tough race. I mean, she's facing some tough competition in here, but I do think she's the horse to beat.
The 11, Will's Secret, has wonderful tactical speed and has been really ridden brilliantly by John Court, especially in both the Martha Washington and the Honeybee in the latter race, just getting right up close and sensing a slow pace and sprinting on home over Pauline's Pearl. I wonder if she was exposed just a little bit in the Ashland. No match for Malathot and past the Champagne while running just fine.
Yeah, she did run just fine in there. And she actually got another really good ride from Court. He just put her right on Malathot's tail and followed that horse around the track. Just couldn't kick with her. Did her best, only 3rd best in that race. This is another horse who's in a pretty tough spot here, but I won't be surprised if she could get a piece.
The 12 search results, a perfect 3 for 3 for trainer Chad Brown, has passed every test Chad has thrown in front of her, most recently the 2-turn variety. Let's watch the grade 3 Gazelle. She earns a 92 buyer speed figure, a very fast race, and she didn't change leads to do it.
Yeah, it's the 2nd time in a row that she failed to change leads in the stretch. And she's just facing a field that she has way over the barrel here, Dan. She's just too good for this field. We'll see what happens. I have no doubt that Search Results is a really, really talented horse. I like all 3 of her races. She is of the short prices on the morning line. This is the horse I'm against. I want no part of her in here.
Competitive Speed, the number 13, very likable horse based down in South Florida. She's a stakes winning sprinter, 3rd in the Devona Dale, 3rd in the Gulfstream Oaks, just slow on paper.
Just slow on paper. That's a perfect way to put it. There's nothing wrong with her. She tries really hard. I felt like she had an impossible trip last time in the Gulfstream Park Oaks and actually did well to be 3rd, but she was never a threat.
Milfoy, the number 14, completes the field. The Judmont Farms homebred, trained by Bill Mott. She gave Malathot all she could handle over a sloppy track at this distance in the Demoiselle. In the Devona Dale, she ran right up into a box on the far turn and then just didn't fire after that. I think if she was going to get it done, it was last time in the Gulfstream Oaks, where she had the lead in the stretch and Crazy Beautiful ran her over. I was a little disappointed with that effort, and boy, this is a tough post.
Yeah, I can't disagree with any of that, Dan. I'll give her the excuse for the Devona Dale. Last time, it's harder to forgive her not getting the job done there. She had no excuse. That being said, she's gone a mile and an eighth once. To me, it's still the best race she's ever run. She went very early in that Demoiselle and tried to carry a run a very long way, and she almost did it. I still think she's pretty good, but she has a really tough post here, and she's got to bounce back.
The 2021 Oaks is simply a super race. Let's take a look at our top selections. Clairiere, Mike, possibly compromised by the pace last time out, should get a better one this time. And again, I love her pedigree for the mile and an eighth.
I do too. She's, as you've already pointed out, Dan, I just think she's the best price of the horses that I consider to be the major contenders. And that's why I took her. I still feel like we haven't seen her best race yet.
I wonder if Pauline's Pearl can take that necessary step forward. She's 20-1 on the morning line. I think she'll go off slightly shorter than that, but I still think that's a good price on a well-bred filly that can work out a nice trip for Steve Asmussen. 112-610 for me, 310-6-1 for Mike. What a war. The Kentucky Oaks, your Friday race of the day.